So yeah, the first thing I thought of was Cenk Uygur when I saw this news, and this is pretty funny. I challenge Marjorie Taylor Greene to a debate on whether she should stay or leave Congress. I'll take the side that she should stay. Anytime, any place, Marge. Which is
Oh,
so funny. Which is so fucking funny. Imagine.
The vanguard will be there, sir.
And I mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene, who obviously, has resigned from Congress. I guess if you want to move on to that story,
yeah, absolutely.
because most people's speculation is that she will challenge JD Vance in 2028, assuming that JD runs, assuming that JD is able to, get the endorsement of Donald Trump, which I don't think he will, but most people still seem to be saying that. Like if you look at polls and conversations about 2028 on the Republican side, yeah, most people do assume that Vance is like the front runner or whatever. But if Marjorie jumps into the race, then that might not be the case, given her grassroots popularity with the Republican base. Obviously, there's a bunch of other competition too. I mean, I think that people like fucking Glenn Youngkin are going to run. There's been all sorts of rumors about more establishment Republicans getting ready, to run. Rand Paul is another one that a lot of people are talking about, might make another swing for the presidency. But yeah, this was totally shocking to me. Marjorie Taylor Greene stepping down. This came out of fucking nowhere yesterday. The news cycle was obviously dominated by the conversation about Trump and Zoran. And I do kind of wonder if Marjorie put this out here to try to take attention away from Donald Trump, because obviously Trump Zoran meeting, it did lead to a lot of positive headlines for Trump, I would say. That kind of made him look a little bit better, I guess. And that was after weeks of taking shit with the Epstein stuff and just being at a really low place in his presidency after the government shutdown and his approval rating slipping away. And then the Zoran thing, it's like, at least he's pictured by someone cool who actually is popular. Trump was clearly enjoying that opportunity. I really can't tell if Marjorie just had this ready to go and she was going to release it yesterday regardless, or if she was like, nah, fuck this. I'm going to put this out here to take attention away from Donald Trump's big meeting with Zoran and to really, call him out on this day where some people are giving him praise. What do you think this was planned, or do you think that she was going to release this yesterday regardless of the Zoran thing?
I think it's possible it was either way. However, I think the Zoran thing was really the straw that broke the camel's back. So I think she was probably already on the way to do this, but then she was like, fuck this. I'm dropping it today. I'm letting everybody know about it. And I have to come in here and say it was like maybe a month ago. Regular Vanguard listeners will remember I went on a long rant about how it was a serious possibility that Marjorie Taylor Greene could win the 2028 Republican primary. And I got really scared about it. And I was like, oh my God, I've talked myself into a stupor. Now I'm really, really nervous that that's the trajectory of the Republican Party. I think that what she's doing right now, as far as I can understand it, is she's like, okay, I have milked the Donald Trump soldier attack dog role as much as I can. I've done my insider trading. I've gone in the paint for him. I've built my political profile. And now it's time for me to separate myself and distinguish myself from what is a presidency in shambles and will unlikely ever to recover, right? Even Tim Dillon was calling it the lame duck presidency. I think a lot of people who bend right are calling it a lame duck presidency now because they know Donald Trump isn't going to accomplish any of his goals. And what do we constantly talk about when we talk about the MAGA movement and why Donald Trump is often far more successful at gaining popularity when he's not in office, and then he always finds a way to fumble his popularity as soon as he gets into office, because the MAGA movement is best when they're throwing bombs from the outside, right? When they're anti-establishment, when they're taking shots from afar. What this is going to do is create an opportunity for Marjorie Taylor Greene outside of her job as a congressman, when she's going to retain a full pension, by the way. She's not dropping out until she gets that in the beginning of January. I don't think it's nothing either. She's like, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to get paid for being a fucking congressman for the rest of my life anyway. And now she can build her next chapter, start her next chapter, which I do think is going to be trying to take over the Republican Party and running in 2028.
Yeah, no, I think that she's definitely going to run for something. I mean, she even teases in this video, like, essentially, I'll be back. Like, just wait, I'll be back. And, and some, I may see you again soon or something like that. Like, she makes some reference to the fact that she's going to come back. What I don't really understand is, like, I still feel like it's kind of a bad idea. I don't love this at all from Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's pretty weak. And I think it just makes her look like she's running away from a fight. Like, you're in the fucking Congress. You're in the Congress. You're one of the most popular base, fucking congresswoman with the base. I think the number one recipient of grassroots money. And now what? You're bitching out because Donald Trump called you a traitor. Like you just started this fight, and then like a week in, you're like, oh, like it's like you throw a punch, someone throws a punch back, and then you're like, well, that's unfair. My life is being threatened. Can you believe it? All these people are threatening me, and all this toxic insanity that I've literally built my entire career fomenting and encouraging, and basically making my number one style of politics is to be the most unhinged fucking crazy person. But now that it's happening to me, this is crazy, and I'm the victim. I think it looks really weak. And if she's gonna run for president, she can still do that. Like most people don't drop out of fucking Congress a year or two before running for president. I agree she's going to run for something. Some people have been saying she will take a run for the Senate in Georgia. That would make a little bit more sense to me, because like if she's dropping out in order to do that way she doesn't have to worry about being a congresswoman and trying to do the job of that while also running a fucking campaign. So it's possible that she is going to run for senator or governor of Georgia, both of which I think she'd do decently in. I wouldn't count her out, but it does seem a little bit weird that before even midterms, you drop out of the Congress so that you can then pop up again in a few years to run for president. Like you think she'd want to soak in the spotlight to the best of her ability while she can in a position of real power in the House of Representatives, specifically after this huge fucking win with the Epstein votes. Like she really just secured a major W in this little battle against Trump that she started. And it just seems weird to all of a sudden flee that. And not just to flee it, but then to start talking about how like, oh, I'm under threat and this is so toxic and divisive and I'm above this. And it's like, I don't know. It just kind of seems like a bitch move to me. Like if you're going to fucking throw some bombs, if you're going to start a war with Donald Trump, yeah, obviously he's going to fire back, stand your ground and finish the fight. Don't resign from Congress and then, take a vacation and then eventually come back. Like what is this? Like what the fuck? So we'll see what she does. But to me, it just seems totally cowardly. And I'm like, come on, that's the best you got. You can't handle a death threat from Donald Trump supporters or whatever. Like, again, you've been harnessing that shiny shit against your opponents for the entirety of career. You made that your style of politics. You were the most Trumpian fucking politician outside of Donald Trump himself. And now as soon as you get just a little bit of that heat yourself, now as soon as you experience just a tiny bit of it, you wilt like a fucking flower and run for the hills. Seems weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. I think it could be two things. I think you're totally right. She might not wait to run for president. I just think that's in her mind. I think she sees herself taking over the Republican Party, but she could get into the gubernatorial race. Brian Kemp not seeking, or I think he's actually termed out, so he won't be seeking re-election 2026. She's got a year to campaign for that. That's a potential outcome. The other thing, and again, we could put our tinfoil hats on, Gavin. The other thing is she might have gotten an envelope or some sort of a notification that's like, hey, Marjorie, you flew pretty close to the sun with some insider trading that you did. And you've decided to go to war with some pretty powerful people. And I hope that you're not afraid of a federal indictment. I hope you're not afraid of having the hammer brought down on you for some of the obvious maneuvers and trades that you made. That it could be argued and interpreted were in violation of the law. So maybe somebody from the Trump administration, was finally able to get to her and scare her. Because I do think you're right, Gavin. The tonal shift was what surprised me, right? If she does launch another campaign, I think that makes sense. But the idea of like dropping out and then not immediately announcing that you're going to be running for something else is weird. So maybe they did scare her.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess they did, but that's still. I still think that's kind of cowardly. Like, oh, you got so triggered. Your feathers were so easily ruffled by some threat from. I don't know.
It might have had real fucking meat to it, though. I think she probably did commit crimes with her financial maneuvering.
Yeah, I guess, but it's just like everyone in this fucking government is an insanely blatant criminal. It just seems. I don't know. That seems like some. It seems like the Marjorie I know would be like, they're threatening me with lawfare. Can you believe it? The lawfare. Like I don't see her cowering that easily to some threat based on what she's presented herself as. Again, I don't know that, it's possible she received something like that and was just like true. Maybe they know some dirt on her that we don't.
So much insider trading. I mean, it's crazy how much.
So did all the fucking, Nancy Pelosi, even Ro Khanna, like they're all insider traders. I don't think that. I mean, maybe you're onto something. Maybe they know something about her. I doubt it's the insider trading.
I wouldn't. My gut would tell me that if it's anything, it's related to stocks and her financial maneuvering. And here's why I think she might actually be in a unique position to go down for it, right? Because she's unpopular with the leadership in the Republican Party, and she's unpopular with the leadership in the Democratic Party. And so I think they could kind of present it as like, we're taking this very seriously, what Marjorie Taylor Greene has done, and then move forward and show like, hey, here's what you did with the tariffs and your insider knowledge, and here's how you shorted this company right before Donald Trump made this announcement, and that's against the law. I just wouldn't be shocked if they were going to selectively prosecute, because our government does that all the time.
Yeah, again, that seems just insane to me that they would try that. Again, given the fact that she is as popular as she is with the base, it just seems like a little bit crazy to literally go down the lawfare path right after that was this huge talking point against Marjorie. But I mean, maybe you're right. I definitely think it's possible. But let's take a couple, minutes of this in just to see the tone that Zach referencing. Because, I mean, she was so defiant. She was out here throwing these haymakers, really like in the process of this very dramatic rebrand. And again, it's like, I definitely agree that she's going to probably run for president or something, but I've been saying that about Ro Khanna too. You don't see him just like stepping down to be like, well, in 3 years I might do something, so I need to vacate my office, my responsibilities, and the attention that comes with it. Because I mean,
his insider trading's all legal, Gavin.
I don't know, dude. It seems wild to me. But let's take a look at this, and then eventually we'll get to Cenk Uygur's reaction too, which was pretty funny.
My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of nonstop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary.
Speaking of her family, another crime she committed was putting her son's Venmo on her Twitter page and being like, buy my son beer and shots on his birthday. I'm just saying, when you piss off the government and they decide to come for you, anything like that, they could try and before a judge. Drain you financially, do exactly what the Democrats, failed to do with Donald Trump, but still successfully drained him financially. You know what I mean?
Against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me.
And that's also pretty interesting that she straight up, implying that there's probably going to be an impeachment of Donald Trump after the Democrats retake the House. And she's like, I don't want to be part of that shit. Like, you guys can deal with that. And I honestly do kind of sympathize with that from her perspective. It's like, if you don't like Trump, as she clearly doesn't at this point, they've had a falling out, they've had a feud, and the Democrats are going to impeach him. It would put you in a bit of a sticky situation where you're just like, do I really want to fucking deal with that? So I get it, but it also feels like, I don't know. If she wants to declare war on Donald Trump and be the new face of the Republican Party, wouldn't you want to be there for that? Wouldn't you want to be there to put the final nail in the motherfucker's coffin and to be like, yeah, he should be impeached, and I'm the one Republican who's so uncorrupt that I'm willing to say it and that I will, vote against him. I mean, again, maybe she really does fear his powers, his supporters, as we mentioned a second ago, or as we put this tweet up on screen. I was kind of asking a similar question on Twitter last night. Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk chalks it up to MAGA death threats, and she doesn't want to be a simp for the guy who called her a traitor. But again, I would say that she doesn't have to be. She's already had a lot of success. She's already, racked up a couple W's in the last month or so with this anti-Trump rebrand. It seems like if the dude that she's been throwing bombs at and trying to take down. It seems like if he's about to get impeached again, you might want to be there for that, to be a part of the impeachment. I don't know. It just seems weird to me, and nothing that I hear has truly convinced me as to like this is the reason. This is the reason. Because again, MAGA death threats, I'm sure they're intense, but I don't know. It just seems like such a bitch move.
Yeah, we've gotten some really fucking hateful mail ourselves, and I've never really been too fucking concerned about it. I definitely wouldn't quit my job over it. I would say this is another potential reason, and I don't know how much I would weight it. Maybe 10% chance. I think there's a good chance that Marjorie Taylor Greene might be more financially motivated than any of us have ever formerly appreciated about her. It's one of the things that I've always kind of kept an eye on, because she came in and like people would be like, she wasn't working class, she was rich. She was rich in the way that like a normal person from Georgia is rich. Like she had $1 million in assets, right? She had like $1.5 million in assets, but she was not fabulously, insanely wealthy, right? And then you look at the way she starts managing her assets over the course of the time that she's in Congress, and she starts to make a small fortune.
I mean, that's kind of every congressperson,
right?
Right?
100%. But I think all of those Congress people are motivated by money, right? And a lot of them have figured out, like, I'm going to do the revolving door between, this industry and being a lobbyist, and then going into Congress and being on this committee, and I'm going to do it like that. But I'm wondering if Marjorie Taylor Greene has decided it's actually more lucrative, easier, and more fun for her to start a podcast and try and compete with Candace Owens. Do you think there's any chance at all that she just says, fuck all, I'm not coming back as a politician, but I'm coming back as a YouTuber and a broadcaster, and I'm going to do the Marjorie Taylor Greene show and live stream and try and get all of my movement to follow me onto this platform where I can more easily just manipulate them to send me money that I don't have to use for campaigns and re-elections, but I can then use to just, pad my coffers? Because as you mentioned earlier, she does have the most grassroots funding out of any politician. And she's probably wondering, well, how much of that can I get people to send me on Patreon?
I definitely think it's possible. I've heard a couple people say that. I was even thinking last night, I almost tweeted about this, but I didn't. But I was almost like, breaking, Marjorie Taylor Greene joining the Young Turks, leaving Congress, joining Cenk and Anna as the third Young Turk. No, it's possible, but ultimately, I don't think it's one or the other. I do not think it's one or the other. I think it's both. Why do I say that? Another 28 hopeful, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is definitely going to run in 2028. He wants that shit. He's not going to get that shit, but he wants it. And a big part of his whole pitch is like, yeah, I'm a fucking senator, but I'm also a podcaster. And his show is like syndicated on the fucking radio. So like, a bunch of random people are probably just subjected to his crap opinions anyway. I do think Marjorie Taylor Greene will probably launch some sort of a media venture or, join some sort of a media company, even if it's just as like a part-time contributor basis. Because again, that's increasingly just like not even at all out of the norm. Ted Cruz is literally a full-time fucking podcaster and a senator of the United States. Tulsi Gabbard, right before, I always forget what her official position is, director of national intelligence or something stupid like that. Before she got that, she was a fucking Fox News bobblehead. Like, I'm not even kidding. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, all these fucking kids just came from like the worst podcast you've ever heard of, or the worst Fox News show that like your fucking grandpa listens to. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally what we're talking about here. So I do think that Marjorie will in some way launch a media venture or get in on some sort of media venture.
She has to, right?
In the interim. Yeah, because she needs to stay
relevant
popular and she needs attention, which is the weirdest thing about this to me, is that she would step away from the attention that being in the Congress gets you. I mean, she's gotten more attention than she ever has over the last couple months as a result of this Epstein stuff. And again, I don't think it's a good idea for her to like try to transition into being a podcaster. Like, not that Marjorie Taylor Greene is the worst on the microphone. She's more compelling than a lot of her colleagues. But even when I watch her on interviews and podcasts, like, I do think her skill set lies in being a politician, not a fucking podcaster. Like, again, it's not that she's terrible on the mic, but whenever I listen to interviews with her, it's not like she's a Candace Owens level talent or like a Nick Fuentes level talent. Again, I hate to give these people credit, but when I listen to them, I can understand why other dumb people like them. I'm like, oh yeah, if I was like a total idiot that had no, moral compass, I could probably find myself just like listening to Nick Fuentes on the drive home or Candace Owens while I'm eating dinner, because they're kind of entertaining and stuff. I never really thought Marjorie had that ability to like, host a podcast. Again, she's unhinged and she's clearly a good politician. I think she's proven that, regardless of my personal opinions of her. I don't know if that could translate into the podcast sphere.
I think if she does go for the podcast sphere, it's going to be for a demographic that you and I would never come across. I think it's going to be for like QAnon moms. I think it's going to be for like Facebook moms, right? For people who get their conservative media and they want to have it from a woman with like a Southern twang who's been in the belly of the beast and decided to stand up for women victims and, fight against, the trans agenda against women and all these things. I think she could definitely carve out a niche there. I don't think she would have the wide appeal that she has as a politician. And to be honest, guys, the big test for Marjorie Taylor Greene, especially now that she's cannonballed into the water and resigned from Congress, because the media cycle moves really quickly. And if you don't find a way to stay relevant, Marjorie Taylor Greene could totally squander her relevance. So it's a big risk doing this. But if she pulls it off, it will be a ginormous maneuver for her. And I think it would be a golden opportunity for her to eventually in 2028 come back and run for president. But I just think if she doesn't run immediately for the governorship or for the senator in Georgia during the midterms, then I think her option is to start a media venture and try and gain relevance that way until she runs for president in 2028.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. But I also don't think it would be the worst idea for her to just lay low until she runs. Like, even though I'm saying I can't believe she would resign and, lay low, I actually, that's more from like the position of trying to understand her narcissistic psychology and being like, well, how could a narcissist, go away for a few years without getting the attention they so clearly crave? But thinking about it, that's kind of what Donald Trump did after January 6th, right? Like, after he left the White House in his first term, he did kind of lay low. Remember, he got off Twitter. He wasn't making the rounds as much. People did get kind of a break from him, and it allowed him to reemerge in 2024. And a lot of people were like, it's been 4 years. Like, I guess I forgive the fact that he almost overthrew our fucking country. In a similar way, I could kind of see Marjorie Taylor Greene laying low, letting what happens to Trump happen. If he gets impeached, he gets impeached. If whatever goes down, maybe his approval rating goes up and down a little bit, but she can just kind of wait it out, see where things are at come like 2027. And then if it still seems like an ideal moment, launch a campaign. So I don't even think that would be the worst idea ever for her. I just struggle to imagine her doing that. Knowing how much she loves attention, knowing how fucking unhinged she is, knowing how much she loves to be on camera. I can't imagine her just like returning to a small town Georgia life for a few years and then reemerging. Like, that does seem unlikely.
I feel like it could go either way, right? Because it's true, and I completely agree with the fact that she's trying to rebrand a little bit and clean up her past crazy self, and she doesn't want to, she talked about how she felt like she, needed to apologize for the fact that she didn't call out the violent rhetoric from Donald Trump in the past until it impacted her. And she tried to do a couple of about faces where she was like, hey, I am presenting as a much more reasonable person and not just a deranged Trump sycophant. And she did try and reintroduce herself. So I wouldn't like rule it out that that's exactly what she's doing now. Like, she is trying to take that break. I just think she's going to have something that keeps a base of people really fired up about her, because Donald Trump had such a cult of personality built around him by the time he got off Twitter and by the time January 6th happened. I mean, he basically forged a religion. And while I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is really popular, there's a lot of competition to be the leader for the next era of the Republican Party. She's going to be battling Candace. She's going to be battling Nick Fuentes. She's going to be battling Tucker Carlson. She's going to be battling people that we've probably not even heard of yet that are going to be the next to emerge. And Donald Trump just had it all right here. He was the Republican Party. The Republican base never left him. And I think that was what allowed him to really weather the storm like that. I would be, if I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene and I'm giving her advice, not that I ever would, I would be like, hey, don't just squander the energy that you have right now, because the Epstein files was huge. You're ginormous right now. Like, when you go on a podcast, people watch it. Like, you'll make a random podcaster have their best numbers, and that's how you can tell you're a hot commodity, right? People will just want more of you. It's not a good idea to, just get out of the limelight while you're hot like that, because you don't know if you're going to be able to rekindle the flame to the extent that she did there. You know what I mean? Because she is right now, I would say, most popular elected Republican besides Donald Trump.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. And obviously, people like Laura Loomer on Total Warpath against Marjorie. She says good riddance and goodbye. I hate when women pretend like they are done, so you will chase them and beg them to stay. It's such female behavior. Such a crazy thing to say as a fellow fucking woman. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? What, you like some gross old man or something? Like, MTG wants Trump to chase her. When someone leaves, open the door for them and then change the lock so they can't return. Goodbye. And here she also is putting out a theory. Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's resigning from Congress January 5th, 2026. She's deliberately trying to make it so the Republicans are down a vote to screw Trump over ahead of 2026, which does seem, very potentially accurate, because maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene was just planning on resigning at the end of her term, but she's like, oh, I can really fuck him over by denying the Republicans this vote they're going to need an increasingly close House. Definitely an interesting, pretty juicy theory there. Laura Loomer goes on to suggest that she'll probably get a deal with CNN or MSDNC, which, by the way, is now MS Now. Officially rebranded. You can literally look up on their YouTube channel. There's no more MSNBC. It's pretty crazy. To talk shit on Trump all day throughout the midterms. She wants the Democrats to win. How much was she paid? That's what I want to know. And my only other question for you, Zach, I don't believe this, but I have seen a couple people suggesting that there's even a chance Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she reemerges, runs as a Democrat. Do you think it's at all possible? Are we looking at the Tulsi Gabbard of the left
Cap.
here?
I'm calling cap. I'm sorry. I'm calling cap. There's no way she does that. I'm telling you guys right now, 100%. Like, there was the guy, I can't remember who it was on CNN, who was like, we need to make the Democratic Party big enough, perhaps big enough even for Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it's like, how could you possibly say that when Chuck Schumer didn't even endorse Zohran Mamdani, who won the mayoral race in New York City, right? So absolutely, there's no room in the Democratic Party for Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I do not think she would run as a Democrat. I would say that there's like at least like a 3 or 4% chance that she was paid to do this. I'm not going to give major credence to that, but I wouldn't rule it out entirely. And the other thing that I need to have explained to me is if it's against the law or not. I'm not a lawyer. It sounds like it should be illegal, but we just saw Bill Ackman publicly tweeting about how he could finance Curtis Lewa to have a fabulous lifestyle instead of that tiny apartment you own, and we could give you $10 million. How about that? Like, that was public. Okay. They weren't, he kept saying he had the like private, offer of however much money, these people were basically just publicly offering to buy Curtis Lewa, and yet nobody brought any charges. There wasn't any corruption. So
maybe MBS slipped her a check when he was just in town. He was like, hey, I got a nice suite for you in the finest, building in all of downtown Dubai or some shit, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, you would wonder if it's like an emoluments violation or something like that for people in Congress, but it's also like that's never prosecuted.
No.
And
especially with crypto, it's harder to track.
I'm just like, is there a law that would prevent someone for saying, I'll give you $100 million if you don't seek re-election? And now with billionaires worth so much money,
I'm sure there is technically a law, but I'm sure there's just so many ways to get around it at this point.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying that that's likely. I'm just saying it is on the board as a potential reason.
Oh yeah, I mean, it definitely is. We're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene
right
here. We're not talking about Bernie Sanders. We're talking about one of the biggest grifters, one of the biggest opportunists who, in the last like fucking month of her career did one good thing, which was to like get the Epstein vote done or whatever. But like, let's not get it twisted. We're still talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Even in her little address there, she still had to like shit on trans people and the Green New Deal stuff. She's a total fucking villain, which is why I don't really think anyone should buy the rebrand. I'm like, again, we can give her credit where credit is due. Doesn't mean we have to buy the rebrand. In the same way that we didn't buy the rebrand when Kamala Harris was pretending to be in favor for Medicare for all. When she wanted to run for president, everyone on the left was smart enough to see through that. But now we have to look at dumbasses like Cenk Uygur being like, oh, we have to give her credit 1,000,000% and join her, accept her into the fold and treat her like she's a populist hero and all this kind of crap. It's like, no, she's a political opportunist. She knows what she's doing. She's rebranding in an opportunistic way because, she does want to run for president or something. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Marjorie. But do you want to take a look at some of these crazy Cenk tweets real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen these yet, actually.
So yeah, the first thing I thought of was Cenk Uygur when I saw this news, because obviously Cenk and Marjorie seemingly best of friends these days. Obviously, we famously commented on Cenk, flirting with Marjorie, embarrassing himself live on TYT, and then getting called out by John Iadarola a couple days later. That was like a few months ago. But either way, Cenk has really wed himself to Marjorie as far as like this populist icon that he keeps giving credit to over and over again. Same with Anna. So I immediately thought of Cenk, and this is pretty funny. I challenge Marjorie Taylor Greene to a debate on whether she should stay or leave Congress. I'll take the side that she should stay. Anytime, any place, Marge. Which is so funny. Which is so fucking funny. Imagine debating Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hey, I really think you should keep being a, transphobic congresswoman who hates the Green New Deal and who basically stands for a bunch of like it's crazy. It's crazy. And we talked about before how Marjorie Taylor Greene would literally be the vice president right now if she could be. She wanted to be Trump's vice president. It was only because she was snubbed in that role and then also didn't get his endorsement for the Senate that she turned on him. But this is a total fucking petty political opportunist. It's crazy that anyone would not would have this take, in my opinion, especially someone like Cenk Uygur. It's crazy.
I don't want to ever hear anybody call Cenk Uygur a lefty. I don't want to hear anybody talk about how Cenk Uygur is a progressive. He has officially, honestly, with this tweet right here, I don't think that it could be ever more clear. Cenk Uygur has left the left, right? He has adopted politics that are now vaguely and abstractly at the intersection of self-serving and anti-establishment, right? So if it's both self-serving and anti-establishment, he's okay with it. I.e., Marjorie Taylor Greene comes on my show. I don't care that she attacks trans people. I don't care that she's going to vote for the the fucking Lake and Riley Act that's going to make it so that any, dark-skinned person can be stopped and harassed by the police. I don't care about any of these horrible things that she said, the racism. I don't care about the fact that she's made it so it's impossible to get a fucking abortion in Georgia. I don't care about any of these other things that she's been responsible for, let alone the like Jewish space lasers commentary, the inciting violent rhetoric, the QAnon conspiracies, all of these things that she's done throughout her career. You're going to hand wave that away because she's a hot commodity right now and she comes on your show. This is humiliating for Cenk Uygur. The groveling right here, the fact that he knows or should know that the fact once that video went out, there's no way she's not resigning. It's not the kind of thing you walk back. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene knows like this is her fate. She signed it. She is no longer going to be in Congress. She's going to collect a pension forever as a congresswoman, right? But this is embarrassing for Cenk, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of his actual commentary on the subject matter as well. Because again, it's not, like we give credit where credit is due. We've done it before. We do it when it comes to fucking Rand Paul. We did it when it came to Matt Gaetz. Like all these fucking evil bastards who occasionally do the right thing. Yeah, we'll give them credit. But did you see me cry when Matt Gaetz left Congress? Did you see me beg him to stay? No, fuck that guy. Again, there was a few times where I was like, yeah, I'm glad he's bringing the ruckus to the GOP caucus. He shot down, what was his name, Kevin McCarthy. Or I was like, hell yeah, bro, let's go.
30 times.
This is awesome. Let's go. But that doesn't mean I'm fucking crying when he leaves the house. Fuck Matt Gaetz. Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. And again, maybe if Marjorie Taylor Greene like 5 years ago had made this transition and she'd been walking the walk and really proven that she was committed to a new ideology, that would be one thing. But this rebrand has happened over the course of like 3 fucking months. Like this is so fresh. It's very hard for me to take her seriously, given that politicians are famous for telling you what you want to hear when it's politically convenient for them to do so. So yeah, I would need to see like several more years of consistency from Marjorie Taylor Greene as far as this new rebrand before I'd even approach giving her actual credit or begging her to stay in the fucking Congress or whatever. Because again, whatever she's done in the last couple of years, let's not get it twisted. 98% of her legacy as a congresswoman is fucking trash. It's dirt. She's a fascist. You know what I'm saying? That's what her legacy is. And then at the very end, she did one good thing for like 2 months.
I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never, ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Breaking news, Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's resigning from Congress, stepping down effective January 5th. Wow. She just had this huge fight with Donald Trump. I don't know why in the world she's doing that. The story just broke. She was finally having a positive impact in Congress on the Epstein files, on questioning Israel's funding, on now actually she joined Ro Khanna's bill and others' bill to lower drug prices. She had begun finally to do some amazing work. I don't know why in the world she's resigning. I don't know if it's, look, here are some possibilities right off the top of my head as the story is breaking live. Maybe to run for a bigger seat. That's, I suppose, possible, but there was talks of her running for Senate or for governor, and that didn't come to fruition earlier. I don't know if things have changed. It's not impossible for her to have been bullied out. Maybe they found something on her. I don't know. I think given Marjorie Taylor Greene's temperament, that's less likely, right? And
unless it's something
possible
really bad,
that she's going to go.
That's what I think it is. Well, actually, that's not what I think it is. If it's that they bullied her out, I think it's because they have something like criminal on her. And I would say that there's still just a bunch of options that it could be, and weighting them all, I would weight that as less likely, but still on the table, probably right around as likely as somebody just paid her to fucking not be in Congress anymore.
Yeah. Honestly, to me, although I wouldn't completely deny either of those theories, the one that makes even more sense to me is that she's lazy and doesn't actually want to do the work of being a fucking congresswoman anymore. So she wants to just take that pension money and then rest on her laurels, building her media profile until eventually running for higher office. That's my guess, just because, again, the other stuff, it seems a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit conspiracy, like, oh, they found this dirt on her, like someone paid her off. Like, I'm not denying that it could happen, but to me, the Occam's razor would probably suggest that, yeah, she's probably just like, I don't really feel like doing this fucking job anymore. I have bigger ambitions than this. Being in the House is probably pretty boring, the commute, all this kind of crap. So that's my personal theory. But again, I would not be shocked to find out that something sketchier is going on too.
No, I would say that there's a very good chance of that. I was actually talking to my sister about that. My sister works in Boston politics, and we talked about how one thing about people who are narcissists, which is undeniable, Marjorie Taylor Greene is, Donald Trump is, right? They love running for office, but they don't like governing. Right? The whole idea is like, I want people to shower me with praise. I want to go and speak at a rally and have people clap for me. But the day in and day out of being in Congress, being on the Hill, traveling all the time, you don't get to sleep a lot. You don't get a ton of days off. I guess she can't really bitch because she just got a bunch of days off while the government was shut down. But it is a real grind that people who really intended on being career politicians sometimes decide they don't fuck with. So that is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, 100%. Specifically, if you take your job even remotely seriously and are actually like trying to help the constituents of yours, in their various issues. Like, a lot of it is just super kind of nitty gritty community stuff that, again, people that are after higher office probably don't care enough about, like helping some random, constituent of hers do whatever the fuck, like any of that kind of shit. Yeah, it probably would get old. So either way, let's keep hearing from Cenk.
Do media or do something that is related to politics, but not actually in Congress. And part of the reason might be, again, this is all speculation since the story's breaking right now. It's possible that she thinks Congress is useless. We can't get anything done here. All these other guys are totally corrupt. Every time you go to do any bill, like the one I was talking about, lowering drug prices, that's actually Donald Trump's executive order that Ro Khanna just turned into a bill so that it could be more effective. So now everybody should join that bill. She joined it. But we can't get the Democrats to join, other than it's for the same exact drugs where the drug companies executives. So whenever you give them something that's a layup, paid family leave sits at 84% popularity. Give moms 12 weeks off after they have a baby. They're like, no, we're never going to vote on it. We're never going to vote yes. We don't care if it's 84%, 94%, or 104% of the American people. We work for the donor class. So maybe she got frustrated and left because of that. I don't know. Maybe she got frustrated because of the Donald Trump fight. Or maybe she thought she was going to lose her primary, but that would be very, very surprising.
No way.
She usually likes to fight.
There's no way, right? I don't think she was in jeopardy at all.
I don't think so either. Yeah. No, I don't think she would have lost her primary.
Right, and I don't think she was gonna. I don't think there was. In fact, we had a story planned today where a couple of outlets went and talked to people in her district, and they're like, "No, we're definitely sticking with Marjorie Taylor Greene." And so, this is a very puzzling, very surprising move. Perhaps she'll soon explain why she did it. But for now, we know that Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving Congress on January 5th. I'm super.
I guess the end. What, did she just fucking join the Zoom call or something?
True populist and fighting for things that we care about, lower drug prices, and yes, American sovereignty and protecting American voters and American citizens. This is the worst time to leave. So, all right, but that's the news. And obviously we'll give you updates when we have it.
Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first.
Yeah, and it's like so funny because again, like it's not like she's the first person that Trump treats like this. Like Trump is famous for fucking turning on people. Name one person that Trump hasn't turned on and thrown under the bus and like, you know, had this big messy breakup with. It's just crazy to think that she would get this different treatment, that he would actually respect the whole like loyalty is a two-way street thing with her. When he didn't treat his own fucking vice president that way. Mike Pence was the most loyal fucking dog in the entire world for all 4 years of Trump's presidency until he literally tried to implicate him in stealing the election. And then he turned. But yeah, loyalty has never been a two-way street for Donald fucking Trump. And if you really didn't realize that, then I just don't believe it. I just simply don't believe it. It seems like an excuse. And again, even if it is true, even if you really just couldn't stand up to the fucking heat and the pressure of being on the opposite side of Trump, then you're a fucking coward. And you're clearly not an actual fighter. Because that's the other thing. People like Jake keep saying, oh, she's such a populist, she's such a fighter. Well, apparently not. Apparently she can't fucking stand up to the heat. Apparently she can't fucking stand up to the pressure. Apparently she can't actually fight for the people. Because what? After 2 months of pressure, she's like, it's too much. I can't handle it. I have to run away. I have to retreat. I have to give up. It's like, what the fuck? I thought you were here. I thought you were supposed to be like on this new arc.
Oh yeah, it's like JD Vance. It's the same thing we were talking about an hour ago. What the hell did you expect, right? Donald Trump has hung you out to dry. You're unpopular. He's not going to pick you as his heir. He's never going to say anything positive about you. He's never going to do events publicly with you because he thinks you're a drag. He thinks you're one of the bad decisions he made. And JD Vance, Mike Pence, Steve Bannon, Pompeo, all these guys. Do you see them around Donald Trump anymore? No. John Bolton, do you see him hanging around Donald Trump anymore? These people that used to, get cushy treatment from the guy. The list goes on and on and on. Michael Cohen went to jail, right? That was one of Donald Trump's close guys, his own fucking personal lawyer for a while. He doesn't keep anybody close to him besides Ivanka. Right? Blood is the only thing that this guy knows how to recognize. And even then, I seriously think he would sell his own children down the river if it really was going to benefit him. I do think he would. Very, very obvious here that Cenk is sad that he's not going to have a congressman that's going to come on his show anymore. And I feel like that's the big tell. He's not so sad that she's not going to be voting in Congress. Cenk would admit, I think, that he still disagrees with the vast majority of the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene votes. But it's hysterical that he's just being so obvious about how it's really all about whether or not you come on his show, not whether or not you have overlap with progressive values.
Yeah, I mean, he's acting like she's just like his fucking friend and not like he's a journalist that should be analyzing this objectively. And it's like, well, now she probably will fucking come on the TYT even more because she's going to have so much free time. She'll probably be on there every goddamn week. But I don't know. It's just like, come on, Cenk. Like, where was any of that analysis of like, what the fuck? You're like, this is some cowardly bullshit. I feel like that's the most obvious thing to say here. Again, like fucking a month after declaring war on Trump, you're just going to run away scared because he fired back. No fucking shit. Obviously, he was going to fire back. He's the president of the United States. He's fucking Donald Trump. He's the most narcissistic, petty motherfucker in the entire world. Him firing back is not a reason to run out the door screaming with acting like the fucking world is ending. That's the time to double down and say, you're damn right, motherfucker. And locking horns with me means that you respect me enough to fucking view me as an opponent that you have to deal with instead of just ignoring me. It's like, did she really prefer to be ignored by Donald Trump? She never thought he would fire back. She never thought his fans and the MAGA mob would come for her. Like, I just find that hard to believe. And I do find it pretty crazy for Cenk to call her this populist fighter, this hero for the populist fighters, but she can't actually fight. That's what she was doing. And now she's just giving up. Where's the fight? If she's a fighter, then I want to see her fucking fight, not give up, not put down her arms as soon as the temperature gets turned up even a little bit.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The vanguard will be there, sir. The vanguard will be there, sir. The vanguard will be there, sir. The vanguard will be there. Be there.